Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Coach's Corner. My name is Dwayne Dwyer, I go by the Mindset Coach,
My name is the Uncle Junior, and I go by the Consistency Coach.
and we are the coaches for Coach's Corner. As always, like I tend to say, if you are just going to show up and not pay attention, or probably just when we get finished, go back and do the same thing you have been doing, watching TV, eating potato chips, whatever the case may be, this may not necessarily be the place for you. But if you're looking for some information that you can actually use right now, this day, that actually make you a better person and actually make you better for the people that you know, love, and care about, you're in the right place. Not only do I think you're in the right place at the right time, but you are destined to be here to hear the voices of myself, the mindset coach, and my good friend, the Uncle Junior, the consistency coach. So, with that being said, what I would like to do is speak to my brother from another mother, the Uncle Junior, the consistency coach, who I affectionately call C Square. How are you doing on this day, brother?
Man, I'm doing good. I am doing well. And it's funny that you should call me brother, because that is what we're going to be talking about tonight is brotherhood.
Man,
Um,
I've been calling you brother for years. What are you talking
I
about?
know, right? I know. But yeah, same here, man. And I always appreciate that. That is a term that nowadays I don't necessarily I don't throw that around. I don't throw around I love yous either. But we're gonna definitely dive into all of that stuff later on as we get into the conversation, man. But overall I'm doing well. Happy Tuesday to you, to the chat, all of those things, man. I'm in a good mood and good spirits. The Cowboys, they won the game, so everything is good. I'm repping, win, lose, or draw. However, I'm always it's a lot easier to go to work when they win. I would say that. And I know your Bulldogs is doing their thing. So other than that, how is you? How are you?
I I'm still stuck on the Cowboys won a game, and it's a lot easier to go to work when they win.
Bro,
Um,
I'm telling
it,
you, bro, when
it,
when, when the Cowboys lose, bro, everybody come up. Everybody got their head up.
well, the law of cause and effect, mandates that. Like y'all set the conditions for that to happen. So when they
We
lose,
do.
y'all get the business. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying it, just my thought. Alabama and Cowboy fans, I see them as the same, right?
Oh man,
So
yeah.
it is what it is. But to your question, man, I'm good, man. All is
Mhm,
well. No issues on this behalf, man. A lot of goodness is happening. And so I'm just excited. I'm excited to see the things that are unfolding, not just in my life, but in the lives of other people as well. So that's to me, that's an opportunity for me to just be thankful and
mhm.
appreciative of it all. So yeah, man, I'm in good mood, good
Yeah,
spirits.
I like it, man. Speaking of unfolding in life and all of those things, man, I just want to say to the chat and anybody who is listening for the first time, or maybe this not your first time, if you missed the last 2 week episodes, I highly encourage you to go back and watch those. It was a part one and a part two, so feel free to go back and check those out. They were two very powerful. It was one conversation broken down into two different episodes. So share it with somebody too. I think it was very powerful, and I think that a lot of people can learn or benefit from that conversation. So, man, you ready to get started this afternoon?
Let's do it, man.
Man, I am too. So I'm gonna actually do a monologue tonight. So with that being said, actually hold up, pause before I do that. Got to recognize everybody in the chat. Thank you 100%, 1,000,000% for being here. We understand that Tuesday night, 7 p.m., you guys could be anywhere else, but you decided that you guys gonna join in and tag along with these coaches tonight, and just be part of our conversation. So we appreciate you being here. We appreciate every comment, every like, every share that you do. So with that being said, we're going to start with the monologue and then we're going to jump into this conversation. Society has sold men a shallow version of friendship, right? So, with that being said, one of the things that we like to do is we talk about sports, we like to crack jokes, keep a lot of things at the surface level. But real brotherhood, is that real brotherhood? Maybe it is, maybe it's not. That's about vulnerability. I'm speaking about brotherhood here, accountability, loyalty, and the stuff that sustains us. This episode is about redefining friendships, pushing past surface level connections, and talking about what it takes to build and keep real brotherhood. We hope you'll laugh, reflect, and probably text your boy after this one. Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to get started here this evening. And like we always do, we want to start with some definitions. So first of all, my brother, here's our definition, at least initially, where we're going to start with. Brotherhood, a close fellowship or bond among men marked by mutual support, respect, and accountability. What say ye?
I can agree with that.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We got our first up and down head nod of the evening. Next, we're going to move right along to emotional availability, the ability to recognize, manage, and share your emotions openly in relationships. Uh-oh, we got to
I
make
guess.
we adjusting.
Okay, so no, not readjusting.
Okay.
Just the virtue of the term ability in this definition makes me agree with it.
Mm, ability.
Yeah.
Everybody don't have the ability,
Well,
or do they?
well, I think most people perceive that everybody don't have the ability. I think our interpretation of someone else's ability is based upon our understanding of that person being able. That's what makes this definition so dangerous.
Mm, mm. I'll see that. We're gonna have a good one tonight, folks. Hope y'all tuned in. You better get your pen and paper ready tonight. Man. So here we go. We talked about, I started off talking about sports and cracking jokes, water fountain conversations, conversations you have with your boys, and some of these are friendships and some of these conversations are brotherhood. So, in your opinion, just to kind of start to show off, how do you think or what separates friendship from brotherhood?
Initial short answer is the depth and breadth of values. Um, Friendships I view as like-minded individuals with shared values, right? That gives us a common connection, a common ground to connect on, a common ground to have deep conversations, things of that nature. But in the midst of getting to brotherhood, we recognize that everybody who deems themselves as friends, or everybody that you deem as friend, their depth and breadth of those same values may not necessarily extend um, to that level of brotherhood. Now, I do understand that that is a matter of subjectivity and perspective, and you can't really quantify that. However, um, to a person who views brotherhood as the closest thing that someone else of the same sex can be to them, their perspective actually matters. And so when you look at, and I just use me for an example, when you look at, do I believe in a certain book that shares certain values and things of that nature? Yes. Do we both believe in that certain? Yes. Okay. What is the depth and breadth in which we believe? Um, and that's on just this particular topic. But are there other areas that brothers can deem themselves to be brothers from? Sure, absolutely. We have a common ground called the Army that we connect in. And a lot of times we talk about, shared Army experiences, things of that nature. Well, shared experiences through the Army creates that very close bond that goes beyond friendship. So now you look at the depth and breadth of values, and you look at the depth and breadth in which we've like embraced those shared experiences. So again, long-winded response. Even though I started with the short answer was the cliff notes. But the long-winded response kind of give you more depth about about my understanding of this question.
You just made the water real muddy for me now. And I
Thank you.
appreciate that. Um, yeah, appreciate it. Because I was rocking with everything. I hear my own I'm saying everything. I'm talking about my perspective I had in my head. And then when you threw in the army, it kind of changed it. So I'll start it with my initial thought before you said that. My initial thought before you said that was pretty much friendship is layers, is past the surface level. We probably can depend on each other for certain things. Yada yada yada. We may not be have an intimate relationship, but we're at a certain level. We're past the um what's up conversations, or just the basic sports conversations at the water thing. We're past that.
True.
I see you a little bit more than that, a little bit deeper. Maybe I can depend on, maybe I can call on you to help me move, or maybe to go fishing or something like that. And that's kind of like that friendship level. But then the brotherhood, I'm thinking that's more intimate, that's more personal. We can have deep conversations about some stuff that we maybe don't want to have with our wife, maybe don't want to have with our girl, maybe don't want to have with so and so at work or whatever like that. You know, just saying in general, we can have certain intimate conversations that another brother may understand, right? But then when you said the army, it kind of brought my brotherhood down. You know what I mean? Like it's not that intimate thing, because I'm thinking the brotherhood is like something like that I think that I have with you. Like that's intimate. We've had personal conversations about personal things in our life that we ain't going to share on Coach's Corner, and that's okay. Y'all don't need to know everything, right? We y'all getting enough. You know what I'm saying? And with the, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but when you said the army, it's like that's a whole bunch of people that I don't wouldn't necessarily call my friends, wouldn't necessarily call my brother, but if I see them out and they got a retired army hat on, I know we have a brotherhood, and we may sit there and have a 30-minute conversation because we have that brotherhood, but he's not my friend, and we don't have an intimate relationship like the one that me and you have. So it's kind of like when you said the army thing, it brought my understanding of what I think of brotherhood. It made my waters a little muddy. So now I want to come back to you. Why is my water muddy?
Because because I believe you heard me
Uh-huh.
say that everybody that served in the army is in a brotherhood with you, and that's not what I said,
Mm,
right?
okay.
It's not everybody who ever wore the uniform. It's the people that you served with that y'all been through some things together. Those people, I'll give you a perfect example. For those of us who've had combat experience, right, deploying to Iraq, Afghanistan, whatever the case may be, we have some shared experiences that we can't talk about with other people. The only people that we can talk about those things with are the people that we actually deployed with. For those of us who've been in those spaces and at one point in time we've had a security clearance, top secret clearance, secret, whatever that looks like. There are things that you cannot talk about outside of work. And then there's also a need to know that goes along with it as well. So just
That's
because a
true
person
too.
has that does not necessarily mean that you can have those conversations with them. So that's a different layer of relationship now. We may have been friends in the army, but then when we got into the thick of it and we had to do these things and depend on one another and we had to spend the night out in mud and all this other great stuff, now we have those shared experiences to where scientifically we bonded with one another that no one can really provide any explanation behind. So now that's why I said what I said. When you look at those things that you've been through, to where it's like, yeah, I may not talk to that person every day, but we have these experiences to where, yeah, if that cat pick up the phone and call me, be like, "Hey, man, what's going on?" Yeah,
Yep.
because of that bond that we actually have. Well, they had to have been in a position of value before getting to brotherhood, right? I can't say that Tony Majors was my friend when we were in the army, but I damn sure can say he's a friend now. You see
Mm,
what I'm saying? Because he was
yep.
my platoon sergeant, and anybody ever know me heard me tell that story. I didn't really like him much in the beginning,
They're my
right?
best
But
friends.
as right, but as time progressed, I realized that he was better for me than what I was imagining because he was seeing through the BS that I was putting on, that I was portraying at that particular point in time. So now he was actually that one of the first people that was focused on it. He was laser focused. I'm not gonna lie, but he was focused on making me a better soldier and person. And I still, yet to this day, I mean, this is better than 20 years ago now, but I still appreciate the fact that he took that time and poured that into me. So it's like now when you look at it, it's like, can I say he's a friend? Yeah, that brother leaped past friendship, right? We have a bond, in my opinion, that I don't think time can take away. So if I don't talk to him every day, sure, that's fine. But when we do talk, it's like, man, we're trying to catch up and see how everything is going, what's going on in his life this day and age, and so forth and so on, and all of that great stuff. So that's why I say what I say. It's not that everybody who put on a uniform, make sure we have a common meeting ground so we can be friendly with one another. But are we friends just because you wore a uniform? No,
Mhm.
right? But if we were friends or we had a connection or some type of relationship in it and we went through some things together, now we on the backside of it, we now have a brotherhood. We now have a brotherhood.
Mm. And my water got a little bit more clear. I think I may have misheard some of that, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I can definitely I get all of that, man, and I also, if I may add too, I could be off, but so are you saying the kind of brotherhood, there's kind of different layers or different, you can be in more than one brotherhood. I mean, obviously you can be in one more than one brotherhood, but there are different types of brotherhoods or
I wouldn't say I wouldn't say types.
okay,
I would say there are different paths to get to brotherhood.
okay,
Right.
okay.
Because again, I believe shared values is probably one of the most stable paths to get there. Right.
Mhm.
Because we have shared values, those values now govern the way that we behave and deal with one another. Well, it's funny because the army has values. We had shared values in the army. Those values were the way that we govern ourselves and dealt with one another in the army. But then there was another layer that went in it, and there was shared suffering that we did based upon whatever we had to deal with. So even though values are the consistent thing, they're different
Mhm.
paths. If we never, and I have to ask it like this: if you were in the army and you never deployed, which some people, God bless them, that's
Mhm.
they were able to do that. But if they were
Mhm.
in the army and they never deployed, they worked a 9 to 5 for 20 plus years or whatever the case may be. They never been to the field. They never really like road march. They didn't do any of those things. Like PT test, yeah, whenever we get around to it. Like if that was them, am I saying that they are void of building those brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever that looks like? No, I'm not saying that because they had shared values. But when you add that extra layer of suffering on top of it, that's a different path that you guys are going to take because that's the thing that you can always reflect back and say, man, you remember when, man, remember that time when, yeah, that's a different
Mhm.
layer that you get to. So I don't think it's different types. I just think it's like different paths we take to get there.
Okay, I can rock with that, man. I like that. I'm definitely liking where we're at and where we're going with this conversation, man. Um and this is if this wasn't you, then you can definitely add or adjust this any way you want to. But when did you realize you needed deeper male relationships?
I don't think I ever did, if I'm
Mm,
being honest. I don't think I ever did. I think it realized that it needed to expose itself to me because when you go back and it's funny how these conversations always take us back to one thing.
mhm,
When you go back and look at certain things, the way I was taught how to do things is that you can't depend on nobody else. If you
mhm,
want it done, you got to do it yourself. Don't expect anybody to do anything for you. So anybody mean to me means everybody. Male, female, doesn't really matter what your background is. So I don't think I ever got to the point of realizing that I needed deeper male relationship. I think deeper male relationship presented itself to me. And I was like, wow, this is different. This is nice. I like it. You know what I'm saying? Because I was never, and I'm just being transparent and I'll lay it all on the table because I didn't have that with my dad. I didn't have that deep male relationship. I would have liked that, but it wasn't available. It didn't present itself to me. So when and again, and it's the reason why, I talk about certain people. When those things presented itself to me, I was like, wow, this is different. He's hard. This person is hard on me, but they're hard on me for a reason, not just because they can. And then at a later point in time, we sit down and we have lunch together, and he tells me why. Like that meant something. That whole conversation still yet to this day, I still remember it. It meant something. So did I realize I needed it? I don't think I ever did. But once it presented itself to me at that point, yes, I needed it.
Were you in the military then?
Mhm.
What rank were you?
Staff sergeant.
Staff sergeant.
Hmm.
Mm. See, you found out, at least you found out early. I would say that I did kind of realize it. I don't know if it fell on my lap or if it, like not fell on my lap, but kind of the way it came to you. It didn't come to me like that. Mine was more of realization. And I think it was I'm trying to remember if it was after my dad died in 18 or it was before, but I know it had something to do around that time. And I know it has something to do with the light bulb coming on or something about understanding that, you know, having conversations with men is important. Um, if I had it before he died, it probably got magnified after he died because I had ebbs and flows. I had bad and good relationship with my father. My dad was on drugs. I've spoke about this on here before. Um, so during that time in my high school, when he went to rehab and then he got back out there and was still in the streets and stuff like this, it was like, I ain't like him. Like I ain't like that dude. I'm just being honest. I ain't like you, boss. I did not like you. You know what I mean? But he already know that we didn't had all these conversations. We didn't joked and laughed and everything. Um, but then there was a time period where he had finally got clean and everything like this. And I was in Iraq, and I remember he had got married. This was like in 2008. So this was my second deployment around December, and he was talking me he was clean and stuff like this. And it's kind of when the shift churned in our relationship. So we had like from 2008 to 2018 when he passed, our relationship steadily inclined. So I had, 10 really good years with my dad on the back end. You know what I'm saying? And I learned a lot. But after that, like I'm saying, this kind of brings me to, my talking point is when he passed, when he left, there was a void. So I got out of the military in October of 2017. He passed in June 2018. So it hadn't even been a full year. So when I got out, I had that buffer. I had the buffer from the sergeant majors and the other NCOs and all of that stuff. I had, from I didn't have to just jump out there with no men. Then when I still had him, but then when he passed in 18, I'm out here in these streets all alone. I got a couple of boys. I ain't know you. I ain't know Gaddy. I ain't know Roland. You know what I mean? I ain't know Antoine. You know what I mean? So I didn't have no brotherhood. I
Yeah.
had people that I knew. I had dude that was my brothers and brotherhoods from the military. But when I transitioned out, we wasn't in the same place. I scattered. I was down here by myself. Ain't nobody where I'm at. So I lost that deep relationship, male relationship that I had with my father. So now it's time for me to go and make new friends or make new friends. That's when I really realized that I needed that. So for me, I realized I needed it, like I said, maybe before, but it definitely got magnified once he passed. And then again, like I said, I'm out here in these streets all alone, and then when elevated dialogue came along and the pandemic came along and then coach's corner and hearts of men and all these different things came along. My brotherhood, my wolf pack, my relationships, they got deeper. I have other friends and stuff like that I've reached out to and stuff like that. And, I realized that um, iron sharpens iron. Um, and we need each other. And it's hard out here sometimes. Everybody, don't have fathers, you know what I mean? And the ones that have lost them, we can have conversations about, hey man, I was just driving down the street, man, and I just started bawling just because I was thinking about my dad. And they get it and they understand it.
Yeah.
Like you was talking about the military. Hey man, remember we was in the mud and we was in basic training, man, and they throwing the grenades and you got stupid guy over here that's making us do front back go and all these different things that we can share and have conversation with. And once I got out, like I said, I didn't have that. So for me, I kind of realized that probably around between 2017, 18, 19, around that time. And especially once I lost my father in 2018.
Yeah. That's
Long-winded response. I
no,
apologize.
man, it was a very necessary response. Because that's who fathers are supposed to be, right? Fathers are supposed to be that first deep male connection that a son experiences. Fathers are supposed to model what manhood is to that son. Fathers are supposed to um, help that young man transition through those gates so that when he become a younger man, he knows how to carry himself and again be a representative of the name. And I'm gonna keep going back to that because that name is important. Um, but when you don't have that, right, that kind of presents a challenge because at that point when you don't have it, you know, young man will get to the point try to find out like who am I? And it's like it's not just the question because when we say it, it just sounds oh well that's the thing. Yeah, you know, everybody's sure, but don't go too far beyond. You got to stay right there. That young man is trying to figure out who am I and why is that so detrimental? Because his unclear identity becomes the lens in which he expresses himself to the world. So now he doesn't know who he is. And every time he presents himself to somebody, he is presenting a facade because he wants you to believe that he is a good person. And it's not that he's a bad person, right? And this is across the board. It's not just limited to men, it's women as
Yep.
well. It's not that they're bad people. It's just that they don't understand who they are. But you see their behavior and you think their behavior is who they are, and it's not an accurate assessment. Their behavior is the understanding of who they are and how they're portraying it to the world. And the unfortunate reality about that is until every person understands that, then they're going to go on a self journey to try to figure out their true identity. And some people, unfortunately, because they either don't have a father, well, let me say this the right way. They never met their father. Their father passed away way too young before they got their training, or their father is someplace they don't know where their father is because the mother and the father could not figure out a way to mature enough for the sake of that child. And no one ever told that person who their father was. Those things are more detrimental than anybody can ever realize. And the sad part about it, the only person that has an excuse is the one whose father's passed away. The other two is the result of childish parents who've never gotten to the point of maturing and recognizing that that child is the most important asset that they have right now. And they both need to figure out how to figure life out and cordially, collectively help that child grow and develop.
Cordially. Bro, you said something powerful. Um, and I kind of experienced that too. You was talking about, separate pretty much the behavior from what I'm getting, the behavior from the person or whatever like that. I grew up, man, when I became an adult, man, I did not want to be like boss. Like
Mm,
I tried everything in my boss is my daddy, Garfield Senior. I didn't want to be like him. Like, bro, he had a good job. He lost his family. You know what I mean? He was on drugs. Like, bro, he used to be a preacher. Like, bro, I didn't want to be that. But man, when I got to know him and I was able to separate that from him, because if he hadn't have had that, man, my dad was top dog. If he hadn't have had that addiction, everything that was negative in his life, it was tied down to that. If he would have been able to control that, man, he'd still be here today,
yeah,
but I didn't want to be like him. But like I said, until I got to a certain age or certain not age, a certain level of maturity, I was able to separate who he was from those things that he did. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I realized that he didn't want to do those things. Nobody wants to be on drugs. Like he did not want to. He had family. He had 6 kids. He had a wife. He was a preacher in the church. You think that man wanted to be out there in the streets using drugs? He didn't want that. But I didn't understand that at 14 and 15 and 16 and 17. So when I was seeing that in him, my goal was to not be like that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Only to realize and circle back around, man, I want to be just like that dude. Not
Hmm.
his behaviors, but who Garfield Martin Sr. was as a man. He
Right.
was a provider. When he was there, that joker was locked in, and I mean locked in. Loved his wife, Charlotte Ann. That joker loves Charlotte Jordan.
Mhm.
She probably cheesing right now in the chat. I know she is. He loves Charlotte Jordan. I'm about to she gonna make him she mess around. I'm gonna tell a story about her for too long. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, only to circle back around. So I would say to any young man that's out there or woman that's out there, if you have somebody in your family that's like that done been through something, like I tell you, like I can speak from, from that experience. They do not want to be like that. You know what I mean? If you can separate that behavior from that person, then do it, because like I said, I really don't think that most people really want to be out there like that. Like I said, all that stuff my dad had, he did not want to do it, but he could not control it. You know what I'm saying? And I understand that now and at almost 50, but I didn't understand it at 17. So if you are listening out there, man, look, understand that them people do not want to be out there. I'm not telling you what you should do, help them, not help them. I'm just saying they really don't want to be out there like that. I don't
Absolutely.
know.
No, you're
Bro,
good. You're good.
we on 30 minutes. Two questions. Here we go. We got something for the chat. And we got something for us. You know what I mean? So let me get rid of this one. This is a question for the chat, and this is a question for us. So I know Coach was gonna say me. So I already made it clear outside of the show. So, so I'm kidding. Man, who's a man outside? And this is for the chat too. And here's what I want the chat to do. After I read this question, I'm give you an assignment. So who's a man outside of the show in your life that you'd call a brother and why? So what I want you to do, if you're in the chat right now, I want you to share this video with that person. So whoever that person is, that brother or that sister in your life that you call brother or sister outside of me and coach, you know what I mean? Share this video with them. All right. There we go. So coach, again, who's a man outside of the show in your life that you call a brother and why?
So I already gave you one. Um,
Mhm.
Tony Majors is one. But for the sake of this conversation, well, no, I'm gonna stick with Tony.
Stick with it then,
And
bro.
I give two. Um, so Tony Majors is the first one, and like I said, the reason why, because like in for those of you who did not know, who I was in the army, I was I was something serious. Very, I don't know, aggressive. That's the best way to say it. I was very aggressive. I believed in getting results. I believed in getting the best out of people. Tony Majors was the first person that taught me about mentorship. He said, "You get results." And he said, "If I'm being completely honest with you, those soldiers they somewhat fear you, and I can see it." He said, "But if you learn how to tone that down just a little bit and speak to them to the point where you're not talking at them, you're talking to them, then you'll realize that you'll get a lot better results." And I had to sit on that for a minute because I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like I'm doing good. I'm good." You know what I'm saying? Good. But I sat with that for a minute because those were some very profound words he gave me. Not only were they profound, they were prolific. And so I sat with it and I chewed on it, I chewed on it, I chewed on it. And then it's like, okay, so now fast forward, I had to become the Tony Majors to somebody else.
Mm.
And it it was it was like a full circle experience because in the midst of me having this conversation, I had a deja vu moment. I'm like,
Mhm.
whoa, you know what I'm saying? Um, and it was good. But I can truly say that my first hint of understanding what mentorship was all about came through Tony. Then it was experienced in Robert Johnson because it was like Tony was the one that took us to Iraq, OIF 1, right? Well, prepped us. Well, let me back up. Robert worked for Tony, right? Tony was the overall platoon sergeant. Robert was our section sergeant per se. Both of them sergeants first class. It's a very unique dynamic. having that conversation with Tony that day and then seeing Robert in action throughout the entire deployment, it was like he was personifying what Tony talked with me about. And so it's like those two together, it was almost like tag team. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? It's not like one needed to be there with the other, but it was like when one was absent, it's like you didn't really know a difference. And so I would say that both of them, and I really do believe, still yet to this day, if I was to pick up the phone and call either one of them, I know it'd be a great conversation. And Robert's a real big Cleveland Brown fan, so I may call him one day and harass him about the Browns, right? But those two were very influential in not only how we performed when we were in Iraq, but the bond that we developed as a team, as a collective team, as an entire platoon. Because the way our platoons are set up, each squad team per se will go and support a different organization. And Tony was the brigade fire sport NCO, and Robert was the squadron fire sport NCO. So it's kind of like how it worked out. And so when I look at these, um, the why is glaring because I learned a lot from those men, right? Not only did I learn, how to be a senior non-commissioned officer by watching how they embodied the position, but also learned how to be more of a man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's one of the most important pieces because it's like you're already a man per se, right? But then you see how another person embodies that characteristic, and you're like, wait a minute, that's different. That's unique. I ain't never seen that one. You know what I'm saying? It's a way that you can do this job thing and still do this. And for me, unfortunately, when I was trying to do, not necessarily do exactly what they were doing, we kind of embody what they were teaching. It didn't work out for me, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? I have no regrets in that regard. But the notion is that part of this development that we're talking about starts to elevate you incrementally. And unfortunately, sometimes that elevation, it starts tearing certain things away from you as well, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. It is what it is. But so that's my answer. Long-winded response. I got it.
mhm,
But again, Tony Majors and Robert Johnson. Again, if those brothers are listening to me, I appreciate you.
mm. Tony and Robert. My easy one would be Clyde Lewis, who's my best friend, road dog since middle school. Um,
Running man.
huh?
Running man.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He went to college on a 4-year track scholarship. Yeah. Um, then I thought about Rob. Rob already knows that he's my brother. And then I got to thinking, and this is a young brother who's younger than me. Um, We met in 2004, 2005. This guy has been my little brother. This guy has been my nephew. This guy has been a uncle to my kids. This guy has been a brother, I've been a mentor to him. He eventually surpassed me in rank in the military. One thing I do got on this brother is that he is shorter than me. And his name, ladies and gentlemen, is Kevin Ramon Dunn. I say Ramon because he light skinned and he got good hair. And sometimes I tease him about being Hispanic, but he not. His real middle name is Raymond, but it's spelled the same as Raymond. So, but yeah, man, me and this dude, like, that's my brother. Like, I don't know. Um, we went to Iraq together, one deployment, and this is crazy. Man, me and this Juga was bartering. We was swapping jobs. So this was when I was a buck sergeant. So I'm an E5. I'm in Iraq, bro. I had my desert starts in Iraq. I'm on the fob, man. I ain't out there pulling strings like y'all. Just saying. I'm on the fob. I'm eating nice meals on the weekend. For every Friday night, I got Um, what is it? Every Friday night we got like soul food night. I'm getting 2 haircuts a week. Haircuts 385. I'm paying $5. Man, I'm living the dream in Iraq. I'm over there collecting money, re-enlisted. So, bro, so I'm the exactly. So that's why Bucksarn Martin was getting his uniform starched while he was in Iraq. So I would start. He would do my uniform, and I would cut his hair. So that was our trade off. So I don't know, but that's what. But I don't know, man. He was at my wedding. He traveled to come to the wedding a couple years ago when me and Shell got married. He's just always been a real intricate part of my life, you know. And the reason why I call him a brother is because he's one of those, he's the only guy who has been in so many, he's the guy in my life who has been in so many different roles. You know what I mean? Like I said, he been an unc, he been brother, you know, he was E4, I was E5, you know, eventually, you know, I was E7 and he had moved up, you know, all these different things. He'd been in so many different roles. And because of all of these different roles, I think that made him, I don't know, just more of a brother. You know, it's just like it's just who he is. We just get along, we just vibe. It's somebody I can talk to about anything, and he can talk to me about anything, and he does. And sometimes it be some heavy stuff, but I think he respects and understands and knows that I can handle it, and that's why he gives it to me. But we can talk about anything. He's just one of those guys that he just really different than, some of my other homeboys, but and then I've seen his growth and his maturity. Like we used to be out there when he was E4 and I was E5, and we was at Fort Hood. Bro, you already know what Fort Hood. I don't know if he was married then or not, but I was separated and all of the other stuff going on. I ain't even gonna talk about marriage then, but yeah, I was out there. I was out there in the streets a little bit. Um, and we was out there together, out there, pum hunting and stuff like that. So, but I don't know, just I just relationship has evolved to like we on some grown man unk and OG status now. You know what I mean? He in his early 40s. I'm in my late 49, and just being with him, I mean, when I remember him, he was just like a kid. And I know, I was, only 6, 7 years older than him, but he seemed so much younger than me. He from the streets of Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And he was in the military and he made it. You know what I'm saying? So I watched his journey and I'm proud of him. I love him, I respect him, all of that stuff. So Kevin Dunn, I love you, brother, man, and I appreciate just being a brother with you, having you in my life at this place, at this moment, at this time. So that's a man that in my life that I call brother outside of this show.
There you go,
Yeah.
man. I love it.
Whew. I think I'm trying to decide. Question. I'm gonna hit one more question. Then we're gonna go to rapid fire. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right, here we go. Ugh. This might be an easy one. What's the hardest part of maintaining male friendships?
I got two answers for this particular question.
Okay.
Um, the first part is when you find friends, there is no hard part in maintaining it. That's my first response. But getting to the friendship part is the hard part because with men, there's this thing that happens with us, and it's called competition. Men like to compete just for the sake of them being men. There's no reason that men need to compete with one another. I mean, it's probably the most ridiculous and most asinine thing that you can imagine. Like we would compete just because. Like if if Garfield is doing this thing, I'm gonna be like, yeah, me too, but I'm gonna do it better. I'm like, for what? Like, come on, man. That's just. I'm sorry. In my opinion, and again, I have to say it that way. It's my opinion because some people live by that.
Mhm.
That is stupid. Stop it. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm an advocate of collaboration. You know what I'm saying? If we can collaborate together, then I believe that opens the door for a more richer relationship between the two. But if I feel like we are competing with one another just simply by because you trust me, a person's body posture will tell on them. Their body posture and their body language will tell the story every time. One thing you got to do is pay attention. And so once I sense that, then I don't want to be bothered there. You compete over there and have fun with doing that. I'm gonna collaborate with people, and through collaboration, we're just gonna keep elevating. So that's the hardest part. It's not once we get to the level of friends, because I don't necessarily create friends with people who compete with each other. Like, but getting to the friendship, that's the hard part.
Mm, I agree. I can see how, yeah, getting to the friendship is the hard part. Um, I think another reason why it's hard to maintain male friendships is they just don't know. You know what I mean? It's like some people don't know how to play in the sandbox together. You know what I mean? Some people don't know posture, body language. Some people don't have effective communication. So, in order to maintain male friendships, you kind of got to be able to read a little body language. You know what I mean? Understand certain social cues and stuff like this, you know? So, I mean, we see it on here all the time. On here, Hearts of Men on Friday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You go over there, it's four of us over there. All right. Over there, like we'll see. Coach might go, or Roland, or somebody might do something. So just simple things, you know what I mean? And if you're coming off aggressive to somebody and they're not understanding that, or they're reading it the wrong way because you like this just how I talk. I'm aggressive. This me, blah blah blah. Like, bruh, like ain't nobody trying to be up in your space. Like, bro, you too much. You too aggressive. Like, man, you can't vibe. Who want to be friends with that guy? I'm just saying. But you know, we all met people like that, and even though some of them still have friends, but it is what it is. But I think sometimes men don't always know how to make friends. I just think, when I was in the elementary school, you have some students, they make friends easily, and some students don't. And now I'm seeing it playing out in the high school. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm seeing these dudes is square as the day. And I'm like, bro, you sagging pants and trying to vape. And I'm like, bro, that's not you. Like, bro, I seen your eighth grade grades. Bro, you a straight A student. Like, what you doing with sagging and hanging around these clowns over here? These dudes in the third grade, I mean in the ninth grade for the third time. You last year, you was a straight A student. Like, bro, like not understanding not understanding what real friendship looks like is too. And that's for everybody. That ain't male at all. That's everybody. I think that's the harder part of making friendships right there.
Mhm.
Let me stop for somebody to block me. Man, let me move on to rapid fire. I'm trying to get blocked today. I'm just saying. But yeah, I think it's a whole bunch of different reasons, man. We probably can list different things all day long as far as what
Mhm.
why people can't maintain relationships. Man, here we go, Coach. You ready? We
Yes,
about to
sir.
do some rapid fire questions around here, folks. These I actually put in here today. They're gonna be up on the screen, so chat. Feel free, you guys can jump in and have fun with us, right? So these are rapid fire questions, which means Coach has to answer either one of them. And if anytime we want to go back to them, we can go back to them. You ready, Coach?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Mr. Coach, barbecue or deep conversation?
Deep conversation.
Group chat or one-on-one call?
One-on-one call.
Accountability or affirmation?
Accountability.
Trash talk or truth talk?
Truth talk.
Road trip or video games?
Neither. I go a road trip.
Yeah.
I go a road trip. We can do deep
Road
talk.
trip. Monthly check-ins or daily memes?
Monthly check-ins.
Mhm. Tell the truth or keep the peace?
Tell the truth.
Tell the truth. And the thing about them, you tell the truth, if y'all friends, it ain't gonna affect the it ain't gonna affect the peace at all.
Well, then that's what accountability happens.
There you go, right there. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Coach. He done did his thing. Give him a round of applause. And thank y'all for joining in as well. Um, all of these, most of these questions are kind of depend on my relationship with that person, right? Barbecue or deep conversation. Certain people, I just want to chill, have a conversation with. Certain people, man, let's just go have a barbecue. So I don't know.
I mean, we can do both.
We
But I
can do,
mean,
yeah,
if I gotta
yeah,
choose either or, I'm gonna choose the deep conversation.
yeah, yeah. Now barbecue with deep conversation is good.
Mhm.
Yeah, especially if we get a little,
Figuratively
huh?
figuratively and literally.
Yes, especially if we get a little sip in us. Conversations get real deep. Man, we start doing bourbon night, man, on Thursday nights, man, over my
Yep.
neighborhood. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been to like 3 of them. But it's cool though, man. I'm starting to see different characteristics in people. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We
Always
got
happens
one
that way.
guy, we got one guy that he like to talk about women all the time. Ain't gonna bust him out. One guy, he like a conspiracy theorist. It is, but it's fun though. It's just like men just being around men. You know,
Yeah.
it's just it's like water fountain conversations at 8 o'clock at night on a Thursday.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I be ready to go to bed, man. I had one. I be back at the house. I
There
be
you
the,
go.
I be the first one to leave, bro. I be tired, bro. Bro, I be tired. I gotta get up in the morning. Man, we had 52 minutes, man. Let me see what we got. I don't like that question. Here we go. Mm. Question: how do you model strong friendships for your sons? I don't even know if I like this question anymore
I mean,
because you do.
I think the answer's already in the question.
Uh huh.
Yeah, you
Model
model
it.
it. Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Maybe that's why I ain't like the question. Oh, well, good thing. Here we go. So since we got 52 minutes, we're gonna go on with another would you rather. We're gonna go with would you rather since we already right here. And I'm okay with these kind of being questions that we can dive into if you want to as well too.
Okay.
So if anytime you want to go in, go into more, you just keep it rolling. So here's the would you rather section. Be the emotional friend or the hype man? Hype man.
That emotional friend scares me. So
Yes.
I'm gonna choose
Me
hype
too.
man.
Me too. Hype man, yeah. I don't want to be the emotional friend. I would want to. I'm trying to see how
Let,
that
let, let
can
me
be a,
re- let me reword it like
yeah.
this. Can I be the friend that you can share your emotions with?
There you
That's
go.
totally different. But the emotional friend, nah, that ain't me, Chief. I'm being the hype
Yeah.
man all day long.
Boom. There you go. There you go. Coach done wrapped it up for you. That's why he over here, folks. That's why we here. Have one deep friend or 5 good time friends.
Choosing one all day long.
One all day. What is it? So you remember, well, most of us go through high school. So high school is the time where most kids in that developmental stage where they're trying to find out who they are, who their peoples are, who their tribe is, right? That's what
Mhm,
high school is about. And
mhm.
that was us 30 something years ago. Now
Sure.
that our ripe old age, we like, bro, we ain't trying to have all these friends. So how did that transition happen to where we wanted all of this? And is something wrong with us? You know what I mean? That we'd rather have that one friend versus you know what I mean? Is something wrong with us? And I know we changed, but then people say, oh, well, we grew up. So, but I don't know.
So just want to make sure I'm understanding the question because even in the question, I think I heard the answer again. So
Okay.
you said, how do we transition from wanting to be with the in crowd and have a bunch of friends into
Mhm.
the people we are today to where we're okay with having one deep friend as opposed
Mhm.
to a bunch of friends. In your line of questioning, you said we didn't know who we are, who we were.
Mm.
And so I think that's the answer. I think we're more aware of who we are today. And I'm not looking for anybody to affirm me. I'm not looking for anybody to praise me. I'm not looking for anybody to continuously give me positive affirmations to make me feel good about myself. Right. And so, because I'm not looking for those things and I'm not pining for those things to be drawn in, I actually show myself to be more friendly today. So now, when I do attract a friend, it's because of the characteristics that I portray, not so much of as what they can do for me. Back then, I think what we did is we selected friends based upon what we could get from them. Now, I think for the most part, and I notice this is not everybody. Now, I think we select. I think we attract friends based upon our desire to help them, our desire to be there for them and help them accomplish what they're trying to do, not necessarily looking for anything in return. And I think that's the thing that proves to other people that you're friendly and trustworthy. So now you become good ground. Now there's a caveat because you could still be that person that have insecurities about you and you feel good about yourself because you're helping somebody in need. That's a thing as well, and I've seen that on multiple occasions, and that's not good. So I think that's the answer for the most part.
Mhm.
Most of us have a better understanding of who we are today.
Yeah, I can rock with that. I appreciate that.
Hmm.
Show up unannounced or send a text first.
Text first, show up unannounced if you want to.
Mama Coach can't just come knock on the door. Charlotte Jordan can't either. It's like, look, don't nobody got the right to just come knock up, show up unannounced. My brothers, my brotherhood don't like, bro. Nobody. It's I don't know, man. I don't get it. But the reason why I asked that, not being funny or anything, was just because I've heard people say that. And I've heard people say that, I'm your mama. I should have the right to come to your house anytime I want. And I'm just like, I should have a key. I should be able to let myself in. And I'm just like, I don't understand that. You know what I mean? I don't want to get all into it, but that's kind of the reason why I asked that. It's just like, what makes somebody entitled to go into someone else's house unannounced anytime that they want? I don't know. Let me stop.
Like
I
you said,
already
like you said, you didn't want to get into it, so I'm gonna let it
It's
go.
my second one. My second one, they won't counsel me. I leave. Imma stop. Cry in front of your friend or hold it in. What would you rather do?
If a friend cry in front of them, there's no
Yep,
need to
all
hold it
day.
in. That's why they're friends.
Mhm. Yep. Be corrected or be confronted or
Correct it.
comforted.
Correct it.
You wanna pat you on the back, "Coach, be okay, brother."
Ain't nobody got time for that.
"Oh, man, coach, but man, if when we did the show, man, if you coulda just, spoke a little bit louder or, just talked into the mic." "Hey,
Yeah,
bro, speak louder and talking to the mic."
I mean, but like, so again, I
But
want
that
to
ain't
make
about
sure,
being corrected anyway. I'm just,
but I want to make sure that people understand there's a difference. There's a
mhm,
difference between correction and confrontation, right? We can
mm,
correct someone without being confrontational. The problem that I believe happens most times is that when you correct someone, the other person perceives it as being confrontational, right? So I think both parties, the one that is doing the correcting and the one that's being corrected, both parties need to understand the difference between correction and confrontation. Um, because again, confrontational, you don't do that to friends. Correction, you do that to friends, right? Comfort has this space, right? But again, by that same token, there should be a lot more correction happening than comforting that is going on. If there's a lot of comforting that's going on, you might want to look at your friendship and see what the meaning of that friendship really and truly is. And I'm not that person that needs to define the relationship. But again, when it's me always comforting you, I change the dynamics and I move from comforting to affirming, right? If it's me always affirming you, hey, how do I look in this? Do I look? What do you think? How do I look? All of if that's all the time, that's not good. That's not good at all.
Mhm. And I think it could be something said for the person who always wants to be comforted too. Like if you always want to be comforted, like it may be, have a look right there too. Let me stop. Let me move on. Let me stop. Stepping on toes today. Here we go. Cook together or work out together.
I mean, it all depends. I mean, if we barbecue, we can cook together.
Yeah.
I might be on the grill, you might be over there. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it is what it is.
Uh-huh.
I might
Yep.
be in the kitchen doing the beans. You might be out there on the steaks. You might be on the open flame doing. So I mean, I'm partial to either.
Mhm. Yeah. Um, yeah. I'm partial to either. Kind of depend on what kind of mood I'm in and what we doing, where we at in our relationship or whatever. Yeah. I get it. Last one. Share a secret or keep a secret.
Mm,
Yeah.
depends. Just depends. It all depends on what we're talking about.
Yeah. I don't want to keep everybody's secret.
Secrecy is not good. Period.
Mhm.
Let me just start there. Um, if I know a secret, I may not necessarily be the person that's gonna share it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm
Mhm.
that person. I'm that person that'll be like, I'm taking it to the grave.
Same here.
However, I don't even want to know your secret either. I'm gonna put it like this right here. I don't want to. I'm sorry. I don't mean this in any derogatory format. I don't want to know your secret. I don't need that on my
Mhm.
conscience that I got to walk around being. Especially if my boy is married and I know a
Mhm.
secret about something he done did,
Mhm.
and we all friends, like me and
Mhm.
his wife are friends. I don't I
Yep.
don't don't put me in that situation. No,
Yep.
because now I got to sit with it on my conscience.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
And
I'm
every
good.
time I go around you, knowing, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm with you, coach. Don't tell me your business. Don't tell me no secrets. I don't want to know. You
Mm-mm.
know, keep it to yourself. Take it to your grave. I do not want to know about secrets. Um, I ain't a big fan of sharing secrets either. I don't really have too many secrets.
Nope.
I don't have anything. I mean, some people call them secrets, but some things you just don't share. It ain't nobody's business. It's not necessarily a secret, but
Yeah,
uh,
that's not a secret.
huh?
That's not a secret. Like
Yeah.
you said, it just the entirety of your life ain't everybody's business.
There you go.
People feel that, oh, you're not being transparent. No, you just nosy. That's all
Yeah.
it is. You just
Yep.
want to know more, right? So no, that I don't see it as necessarily being a secret.
Absolutely right there. Um, Man, here's what we're gonna do, man. We're a little bit past the hour, so I think we'll hit one more question if the chat will stay with us. And then we gonna roll up out of here. I think I'm gonna do a scenario. Um, this may go back to what you just talked about. Keep it real simple. Your friend ghosts you after you open up. You tell so and so something, and then all of a sudden you don't hear from her no more.
Mm, multiple layers in this.
Yep.
Um, a lot of times, and like you said, this may go back to what I was just talking about. Um, what is my perception of ghosting me, for starters? Is it that I've expected this person to call me like every day after sharing this thing or whatever? Um, can I go back and look at how often we talked prior to? Because I mean, if we only talk like once a month, and then you share this thing with me, and you don't hear from me for at least a
A
month,
month.
they didn't ghost you. They're just behaving normally. Um, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we need to go back and look at your expectations of what you expected of that person after you opened up to them. Maybe you opened up to them about something they did not necessarily want you to open up to them about, right? You might have been kind of going back to what we just talked about. You may have shared something that now puts them in a compromising situation. And so maybe they feel they needed to pull away from you. Either or, your friend's a full grown adult. If that's what they choose to do, then that's what they choose to do. We literally started this show off talking about people and literally saying that we don't necessarily have to talk every day. But when we do talk, it's almost like we didn't skip a beat. It's, what I'm saying? So again, go back and understand what your relationship was beforehand. Look at what happened after you quote unquote opened up. Again, maybe your perception of opening up isn't opening up. Maybe it's muddy in the waters. Um, you know, I'm very conscious of the things that I share with other people because what I don't want to do is add more to somebody else's plate. Everybody has life happening at the same time. So what I got going on, I don't ever want to perceive that it's more important than what you got going on. So if it's something heavy, I would ask you, is it okay? First of all, sometimes people just get diarrhea at the mouth and just start opening up just simply because that person is available. You kind of took their capacity for granted in that era. So it's like go back and look at some things. Look at who you were beforehand. Look at whether or not you got their permission to open up. Look at whether or not look at what your expectation was of them after doing so. That's really how I look at it. I'm not saying that the friend who ghosted you didn't ghost you, but I'm saying if they did, that's their right. They can do that.
They got the right to ghost you. Absolutely. The reason why I said it may go back to that because that's what I was thinking. My boy just, that's married, just, dropped some news on me that he been out there hunting and stuff. And I'm just like, bro, like I might need to sit with that for a little bit. I don't know how to act now. Like, I don't know what to do with that because next week we already planned for us to double date at the Ludacris concert. I don't know, whatever we going to. It's you know what I mean? And now we all going to the Ludacris concert. We all riding together, and I'm saying to myself, and y'all in the back seat, me and Shell in the front, y'all in the back seat hugged up. And I was like, bruh, like 2 weeks ago, like, bruh. So it's like, yeah, man, like I might need to sit with that for a little bit before I just jump out there and want to. I don't know what I want to say to you. I don't know how to act with this news you gave me. And something you said that's very powerful too is everybody got life. Everybody got stuff going on their plate. What gives you the right to dump your crap onto somebody else's lawn? Like, I get it. I get you want to talk, and I get that Unc is free, and he your cousin, and I get that coaches maybe or may not be free. You know what I mean? And I get that he got some certificates and some degrees and stuff like that. But cousin, what gives you the right to just dump your crap on him? Auntie, nephew, whoever it may be. Anybody watching right here. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. But I think, like you said, I think it is something that we need to think about before we go around here with diarrhea of the mouth, just sharing all of our business and just sharing stuff with people, because they got to hold on to that stuff. And secrets, man, who want to hold your secrets? That's why it's your secret. You keep it. I don't want it. I don't know, man. Let me stop. But I don't know, man. I don't know why I started bantering. I don't know why I don't even be talking about stuff. But I guess I used to be out there in them streets and stuff like that, man. And I'm glad I ain't out there no more. But I just know there's dudes out there and they are out there, hunting and stuff like that. And a lot of times it's men, when you're out there, you ain't got nobody to talk to, and sometimes you do want to share that good, bad, or indifferent, but when you do that, you just added some more stuff to somebody else's plate, especially if you call that person your friend. That ain't fair to them. They shouldn't have to live with that. So especially if it's something like that. But I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, man.
All right. Got anything else you want to add to this, man, before we roll
Oh
on?
man, I think that was good.
I do too, man. Really great show. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to wrap up over here. Again, thank you for staying with us this extra 10 minutes or so. You can check us out here again next Tuesday at the same time. And then on Friday nights, Hearts of Men podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, all that good stuff. Let me empty this question and get this question off of here. With that being said, man, you good? Everything?
I'm
All, man?
good, bro. Yes,
All
sir.
right, folks. We will see y'all next Tuesday. We out.